Welcome to Black Man Lab. We are live on Monday, June 16th. Welcome, everybody. Today we're going to have a very constructive conversation around the trade industries, all those different things that are out there available for our young men to help build our community. Before we get started, wanted to do a couple of things here first. Want to give you a little bit of background on Black Man Lab. Black Man Lab started with just some fathers that wanted to be able to impact their sons through different people that they knew, through friends of theirs, and really try to get them to get on the same page as the fathers, because sometimes we all know our sons have a tendency not to listen to us as fathers, so we wanted them to have other folks to listen to. So that's kind of how Black Man Lab got started. From that, it's grown to this, where we have on a weekly basis a panel of distinguished guests, whatever the topic matter is, to be able to really talk about whatever that topic matter is in depth and enlighten and help our young folks to be able to move forward in life with some information they probably wouldn't have got elsewhere. So that's the history of Black Man Lab in a nutshell. Also, what we do every week when we get started is we help ourselves to get centered, meaning we want everybody in this space to be on the same page and really centered in our African roots. So with that, I want to bring in Brother Fred Parham to get us centered, and then I'll do something thereafter. Brother Fred.
Hey, Marty.
What's
Glad to
happening,
be back
brother?
with you guys, man. No, man, just excited about tonight's panel. Glad to be back hosting tonight, man. You know, this is not my usual uh, job with the lab, but I'm excited to be back. You know, have a few laughs and kind of dig in on an important topic in a transitioning economy. So I'll get right to it. One of the rituals that we do in the Black Man Lab that allows us to have a link to our ancestors and our future while living here in the present is that we honor our ancestors by doing a libation. And so generally, if you're in the same room with the folks you are leading a libation for, you would have a cup of water pointed inside of a plant, which symbolizes the eternity of life. So with that, without being in the same room, we want to invite our guests, our panelists at this time to just think for a moment about a national ancestor whom had a major impact on your life, whether it's you learned of him in school, on the wall at your family's home, or just by being in the community. So bring a national ancestor to your mind, put your fist up in the air, and then all at once we're gonna say that ancestor's name and I say Malcolm
Ashe.
X, I say. And then next, we're going to ask all the listeners and viewers and our panelists to join us in a ritual where at this point, we're going to think of our family ancestor who had a major influence on our life, who may given us a bit of advice that we still live by today. So think of that family ancestor, and in your mind, think of that person, and then put your fist up and say, Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe. Very good. And then lastly, we'll give um, a, a big fist of hope and encouragement and the beneficiaries of all of our hard work and all the things we do. And that is the future who we dream of and live for. We hope for them, encourage them by our life to be better than us. Fist up and everybody say Ashe. Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe. Now,
Ashe.
last
All right.
rituals, everybody.
Thank you so much, Fred.
Thank you so much, Marty.
All right. Thank you, Fred. Thank you for helping to get us centered. And with that, I want to touch on one ancestor that we have now who we recently lost, which is Baba Conrad Worrell. I knew Baba Conrad from back in Chicago. He's incredible historian of not just Chicago, and not just of the United States, but also of the whole world. a great man, and was a leader in our community for a very long time. He was very close with my normal co-facilitator, which is Mally Davis. And I want to bring Mally. I see you're on the call. I know you're a little busy. He's coming back from Conrad's homegoing services. But I would like for him just to step in real quick and give a word on a little bit of the history of Conrad and his importance to where he is, Mally is in his life, because Mally being the founder of Black Man Lab, one of the founders of Black Man Lab, this is significant in the type of work that Conrad has done. Mally?
Hey, peace, everybody. I'm literally pulling into Midway Airport and about to jump on a flight to head back to Atlanta, and just wanted to lift up Baba Conrad. Had a beautiful ceremony for him today. Obviously, COVID impacted our ability to connect, but we still lifted him up, and it was a powerful gathering. Just to send him to the ancestral realm. He was committed to the liberation of Black people, the upliftment of the Black family, and of Black men in particular. So this, I'm just really thankful that the Black Man Lab continues, and thank you for Brother Fred and Brother Marty, and look forward to seeing everybody soon. And I know this is a very important topic as we continue to press forward and help our young men become self-determining and financially independent through their own means. So thank you all, and I look forward to seeing everybody back in Atlanta. And we also lift up the name of Brother Rashard Brooks, who was taken here in the Atlanta metro area. So with that, peace and blessings, and Hotep.
Hotep, bro.
Hey,
Travel
bro,
safe, man. See you when you get back. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we lifted up Baba Conrad Worrell, because in terms of importance in the Black liberation movement, that man has had some very, very significant meaning. So let's get started. Let's move into our actual panel discussion. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you for being here. What I would like for you guys to do is we'll go around. I want you each to give an introduction of yourself and kind of what got you to where you are today. In whatever respective field you're in. So, Brother Lee Henry, I'll start with you. You're on mute, bro.
Okay, let's unmute. There we go.
Okay, you're good now.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm Lee Henry. Just a little bit of my background. Born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona metro area. As you know, it's not that many Black people out there in Phoenix. Now there's a lot more, but just wanted to launch off and have a better life. So went to the Army, did what I had to do. Did that 3 years and didn't want to go back to Arizona. My mother told me that, hey, there's a lot of good opportunities in Atlanta. You need to go there. So I left and came to Atlanta. After that, worked for a couple places, and I was a truck mechanic. So after a couple of years of being here, I actually started AM/PM road service. So I do emergency truck repair on trucks. Okay, that's what I do. After that, I got into trucking. I've been into trucking about 5 years. So that's kind of coasting, but my main thing is truck repair, but I know both sides of it. So that's basically the gist of me. Okay? I've been in about 20 years. Okay.
20 years, you said?
I've been in truck repair for over 20, been in trucking about 5.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, and we'll come back to you with other questions as well. Brother Cedric.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Doing well, brother. You give us a little bit of your
Cedric
background.
Ward. I will. I'm Cedric Ward. Actually was born in Albany, Georgia, but grew up in Atlanta. Went to Westlake High School before it got famous. Then went back to Albany State. Then came back home for some other, basically in the community political arena here in South Fulton. So when I was growing up, to kind of make this story real short, when I was growing up, I grew up around the trades. My mother was the oldest of 15, had 8 uncles and 7 aunts. My father's father, he was a brick mason, all of his brothers and father. So every Christmas and every summer, I would help my uncles, do the work, whatever was needed. But about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I thought about it in a different capacity, and I said, "Wow, okay, if I go after the business, I can get one of my uncles to become my foreman." So essentially, what happened was it was a marriage between the two, of one on the sales side and one on the craft side. So, and this is in the area of concrete, things of that nature. So I'm on the masonry side. So what I did was started doing the work. So not only was I selling the work, I started doing it. So I learned a lot of the concepts and strategies and the science of concrete, because I came from a family, of course, I had a great uncle who was a concrete guy. He did it for 64 years. So from that time, I learned a lot, met a lot of people, learned a lot of things, what to do, also learned a lot of things, what not to do. But to sum it up, what I ended up doing was I scaled my business, because I always had multiple streams approach to entrepreneurship and business. So I just added the trades on to what I was already doing and just started going after the business. So recently I just scaled again and essentially made myself a salesman in my own company, because I had to make a decision. I'm either going to be a businessman or I'm going to be an employee who has a business. So I decided for the aforementioned and decided just to go back into a lane of just selling, which I was lucky enough to find solid crews behind me to back me up. So essentially, when I go sell the job, I know what I'm speaking of because I've done it. So I've had an opportunity to learn to actually know how to do it, and then also promote my business on the sales side, and then converge the two together. So that's essentially what happened.
Gotcha. That sounds awesome, man. And I like hearing that you're continuing to scale and pivot and change and grow.
Yes.
And because we need that in our communities, right? We need to be able to look on a broader scale. I think so often we get stuck in silos, right? Because
Yes.
somebody else tells us what our capabilities are. But hearing that as your own personal growth, which grows into your business, is amazing. So thanks so much for that. Brother Randall.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you gentlemen doing tonight?
Excellent, man. Thanks for being here.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, a little history. Uh, I was born in Leeds, Alabama. I moved to Georgia at the age of 9. Was raised in College Park area. Uh, you know, the whole nine. Went to college. Graduated sports medicine major. I worked with Health South for a while. But like I said, it was fulfilling. I'm working on someone else's schedule. 96
Mhm.
Olympics, that was my breaking out. That's when I became an entrepreneur. I started my own entertainment business as well as doing different things through the Olympics. And, that set me on the path of owning my own businesses and growing. Currently, I have a truck business, small company, and we're still growing. I've been in the trucking profession for 10 years now. It was just basically a choice of in 2008, just thinking, what is recession proof? What trade or what skill do I have that I can grow during a recession? Hey, the trucking industry. One thing people are always going to have is food. How's the food going to get there? On a truck. Okay, there you go. And that's my start with trucking. So 10 years later, well, actually 11 years later, we're doing well, up to 3 trucks, and we're growing.
Thanks, Randall, Lee, and Brother Ward. I want to say, man, y'all left a lot for us to start with just on the introductions. I heard some of those keystone words that can unlock a lot of what our young listeners are have questions about, and that is what's next. Our high school is a given, but certainly all of our young listeners, and even probably some of our older listeners who want to change career, what's next? And so I'll start with the first question, brothers, because I think our listeners really want to know, man, if that's that kid, y'all know how it goes. Everybody's not college material, right? Right around that January in high school. So everybody's not college material. And then teachers and folks start saying, hey, what are you going to do after high school? So, brothers, tell me, we'll start with you, said, I heard you say a little bit about your family's background, but tell me how you would tell a young brother, or what would you say would be a necessity for a young brother to know when going into a skilled trade? What educational background, what kind of drive must he have or she have to really make it happen for themselves?
Well, the first thing I would say is you do need an education, but you need a form. I would recommend a formal education because there's different types of education, and everything that we're doing is essentially being educated. So I always teach or try to communicate a real world education and a formal. But this, I think the science is to combine the two. For example, in the
How to do it.
concrete industry, there are guys that are masters at what they do with their hands. But there's some you don't understand what they're saying because they haven't been formally educated. So my recommendation would be to join the two together at the hip. You don't necessarily need college, but you do need a high school. From the high school position, that's where the introduction comes into the trades or skill sets by being introduced, having programs readily available in the community to encourage the trades. Because we went through a dynamic in the Black community, because I'm a product of it. I'm assuming you are too. Whereas college, I went through that process. I have a master's degree, but so what? Because we have to encourage teaching them and showing them how to do something. What do you actually know how to do besides what you're telling me you know how to do? So you
That's a
take the
good point.
two, you take the formal, and then you take the trades or the skill sets, and you combine. But what we need to do is to encourage instead of discouraging, encourage them to get into these fields because, as we all know, our community, we're not involved as we were maybe a generation or two ago. The Latinos are systematically taking over the trades. I see it every day.
So Lee
Mhm.
and Randall, on that note, bruh said, you know, we got to encourage, man, our young people to move in the direction of trades. So what's your why? I mean, why would a young person? What would you tell them why they need to jump into a skilled trade and look at it as a career or opportunity to be your own boss?
Uh, for me, it's basically I set my schedule. Um, Outside of uh, my truck driving venture, I have other ventures that I can delve in or go into because I have control of my schedule. So as they say, I'm not just a one trick pony. I do multiple things. One thing that I also must say to add to the brothers saying the things that uh, the, the student or the person would need is motivation. You have to motivate yourself. You're your boss. You wake up. You're your alarm clock. Your heart. You gotta get yourself up. You gotta show up and do your work. And that's key. Being motivated every day, knowing that you're going to get what you put out there. That's your prize.
Right. And can I interject?
Oh,
Yes,
please, brother
please.
Lee.
We need to tell these kids about the trades. I believe in, get your high school education. Um, College isn't the only answer. Like the man said, he's got a master's, this, that, and other. You can have a master's and have a headset on, talk about, hello, can I help you? Doing customer service. I believe in trades because, like you said, the Latinos are taking over, and you know what? They work hard. They get it in. They're getting it in where there's a need. Okay, whether it be landscaping, roofing, they're the ones building America where we used to do it. Okay, but see, some guys don't like to look at me being a diesel mechanic or truck driving or dealing with trucks until they see you riding around your nice car, you got this, that, and all. Now they're like, oh, okay, what do you do, brother? I'll stop and talk to them. I work with these. I work with these hands. You see what I'm saying? That's what trades are about. It's a new generation. So we got to be the mentors when it comes down to teaching these kids. It's okay to work with your hands. Okay, it's okay to do that. You know, one of my best partners is a plumber. Okay, you'll see him in his Ferrari, this, that, and other. But during the day, he's unplunging toilets and installing toilets or doing whatever he's got to do. Okay, so I truly believe in that. You know, there's other avenues that these young kids could get into, which would be to get into a trade. You know, college isn't for everybody. Okay, you could be
I
very
think that
extremely successful, be an electrician, refrigeration, whatever. Okay, that's the way I feel about it. All right.
absolutely, Brother Lee. I think that that's one of the things, man, is that we don't, well, so often our young folks don't see the glamour, if you will, in like a trade job, or in a lot of cases in just regular jobs. In our community, they only see the trades in those entertainment fields, right? The glamour in those entertainment fields versus all the other things that are out there that they could do professionally and be highly successful, right? Just like what you were talking about. Brother Cedric, you touched on something to kind of kick this off that I think is really, really important, and what Black Man Lab is all about, right? Our whole purpose for Black Man Lab is to do just what you were talking about. Get you to look at getting information that you wouldn't normally get. Because even when you go to college, right? I mean, all of us probably have had some time in college or graduated from college at various degrees, right? Even in doing that, when you come out of college, just like you said, Brother Lee, you could be very well wind up being a person that's, you know, in customer service. That's the first job that you could get, because you don't necessarily learn how to do a job. You have to do that no matter what. Other communities have the advantage of, you know, usually it's in their family, right? That they're getting that information early on. Unfortunately, our communities haven't had that. So that's what Black Man Lab's about. Let's touch on that though a little bit. You touched on talking about, you know, the education piece of whatever that trade is you're doing. Where do our young folks go after high school to find those things out? The different trade schools and so on. How do you learn to use your hands, as you said, brother?
Was that a question directed toward me? How do you learn?
Yeah, you can answer it first.
Okay. Sometimes somebody's got to pull you in, and you know, I got my formal training from my grandfather. Well, you know, just being over his shoulder, handing him a wrench, and just being around him. So a father figure is very, very important, especially when it comes to a trade business. But even if you don't, you've got trade schools. So I wanted to get a little bit more formal training, and I went to the Army, which I was a mechanic there. I could have picked any job I wanted to, but I was like, I wanted to go to school under the GI Bill and move forward. And that way I would be able to make a decent income, this, that, and other. Armies and the military is a viable option for some young people. I didn't go until I was 25. Okay. So I was, you know, I had to get off the streets. I had to do something. So, but here's the main thing. You got to put it in. You got to get it in. You can't. Ludacris and all these other people, they put in their work. Okay. But everybody wants to be a rapper, this, that, and other. But you know what? You know, sometimes them guys make it, sometimes they don't. And it's only really short-lived. Or your trade will live with you forever. Okay? So even after 20 years, heck, even sometimes I still got to get out, drive, and go turn a wrench. Okay? I ain't got a problem with it. You know, so everybody's got their craft. So I guess going back to your question, you know, there's trade schools, all kinds of assistance, which I don't know what it is, but we've got the availability of the internet to find these options. So I mean, you can be a tradesman I know welders and stuff like that be like, look, man, I love a guy. You love to show a young kid how to weld this, that, and the other. So there's plenty of opportunities, and there's plenty of Black people out here that will show you what's going on if you want that trade. You want to learn how to be a plumber? Yeah, my boy will teach you. Hey, man, ride around with him. Might only make $10 an hour, but once you get your own truck, now you're making $25 an hour. It's just.
That's right. Yeah, that's
You go to
right,
Hawaii
brother
doing,
Lee.
and you want to get trained, there's people like me that do that. So that's the way you're going to have to get it. When you work in that trade, you got to be up under a craftsman so that he can teach you things. You can't just run to the top. You know what I mean? I was making $7 an hour when I got to Atlanta in '95.
So I want to jump in right there, brother Lee, because you mentioned that, and I'll give it a word, that apprenticeship kind of mentality that a young person has to have. They have to find a good teacher. And so I know Cedric, Brother Ward, he does a little bit in the way of education and making sure, that he's involved with young people and introducing them and encouraging them towards the skill trade. So, Brother Ward, would you give us a little bit of specificity or a little bit more specific schools and pathways that young people can take if they're interested in trade?
Well, to your point, Brother Parham, I was actually just thinking about, and this is something I'll share later what I ultimately, because there's a bigger goal for me that I want to create or help someone else create up under someone's umbrella, whatever it may be. But my strategy would be that I'm noticing, and through my experiences, particularly with you, Brother Parham, is the non-traditional route, which essentially is the adult education route, because these are the students that didn't make the formal process through K-12. So there's a huge influx of bodies and students who do not have a high school education. So that would be a perfect scenario or perfect marriage to combine assisting them with their formal education and also introducing the trades at the same moment. I think it'd be a better impact, more visual, more practical, because now they can see or understand the theoretical of what you've just learned, and now we can put it into practice in one environment. Now, I don't have the answers to the questions yet. I'm looking for them. I've met with warden of the prison. I'm trying to create some lanes for that. So if someone can help me, or I can help you, help me, or help us create that program or create that environment, I think that's a huge start in our community, because we have the marketplace. They're there. Me and Mr. Parham see them every day. And at that point, in adult education, this is, I think, is a huge segue. In adult education, the teacher or the instructor has full latitude as long as the other parts are being met. It's not as political as K-12. So in the environment, a person can maybe create a situation or organization. Okay, not only are we going to have this, we're going to add that as well. And now we cook it with grease, because now we get an opportunity hands-on discussing business ownership, entrepreneurship, presentation, articulation, and the trade. So we're looking at the whole picture. Not only can you be a plumber, but you're going to own your own plumbing company. Big difference.
There you go.
Big difference.
Right. Brother Randall, what about you? What do you think from, we talked about schooling, but we also talked about apprenticeship. What do you think in terms of where you are today? Talk about that path a little bit.
For me, it was basically what I did in order, when I had the concept of what was a recession-proof business, that being truck driving. What was my next step? How do I make this happen? So I chose to sign on with a company. I went to their school. They trained me. I leased the truck onto that company for 3 years. I got my skill set up, learned the business. One thing, learn the business. It's not the dollar. Mm-hmm. It's the percent. It's the penny. If you start at the dollar, you missed 100 pennies, so you lost money. So you have to start with knowing your math, your business math, knowing how to balance your bank account, your checkbook, knowing if you're signing a contract, what are the underlying factors of that contract? How much money are you making? Knowing your expenses, all that stuff is something that I was not taught how to balance my checkbook as a child.
Mhm.
I was not taught about banking as a child. But these are things that, through the process of growing and learning my business that I had to implement, I had to learn. So these things, like I say, it comes with time. Through that process of getting my CDLs and working with the company, they put me with a trainer. Actually, I had 2 trainers, and then 6 months later, I became a trainer myself because I was proficient at what I was doing. I was successful with my business, and I showed other people how to be successful with their business. From my time with the company that I was with, I trained over 40 people. 38 of them had successful trucking businesses and have grown from that. But and like I say, that's still you have to reach and teach what you've learned. Give your knowledge back out, and that's pretty much like you say that having someone working with you, working on you, learning your trade, being free with that knowledge, passing it along, and that's one thing
Is
that
there
I try
something
to do.
burning?
That's
One thing
great,
that
man. It's great feedback. What age were you, Brother Randall, when you started, on your path? Like when you had that full decision of what you were going to do?
well, I this is not all that I'm going to do. This is just one step in the process. Like I say, I've been an entrepreneur since '96, doing events, personal training, a lot of things, marketing, the gambit. I've worked with Fortune 500 companies marketing their businesses. You know, um, you know, but my path is still going. I'm still growing. Uh, this trade that I use now is a trade that I use to get capital in order to finance my other ventures.
Gotcha.
And it's a beautiful thing. I'm using it as a tool. This is not the end. Like my man AM PM services, I've used the service before. They do a great job. Came out, diagnosed the problem, got it fixed, and got me moving. And if I ever have the opportunity, I definitely would use him again and refer him out because he has a great service. But like I say, it's ever changing, and that's what we have to do. For me, I don't want to just be boxed into one thing and doing one thing. I want to continuously grow, change this one thing that I'm doing now into a turnkey process, and help other people grow behind it and continue to expand.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff. In terms of the work that you guys are currently doing, right? What would you say is the toughest part for you that's gotten you where you are today? What was the hump that you had to get over? Brother Cedric.
Well, so that's been the most challenging part of it?
Yeah, what was it that, in all of our professional careers, there's something that you had to, you get to that point where you get over that tough spot and you get to where you're a little bit, you know exactly what you're doing and you're cruising a bit. Not that you're where you want to be, but you get to a point where you have a good understanding of your work. What was that? What was that tough hump that you had to get over?
I would say for me it was, and I'll be perfectly honest, was it's the scaling part. It's the constant maneuvering, constant thinking, constant strategizing. Also for me it was to really, really understand how to assess talent and where does talent go. So, for example, you may have a guy that's good in that area, but he's not really good with customer service. So you're constantly trying to figure out where to put people, where to place them, because essentially sometimes you learn what not to do. It's a lot. It's a lot what to
Sure.
learn and what not to learn, because it could make or break you, particularly on the customer end, because that is the part of it that I've experienced, that some guys are doing the work don't understand that that's the crucial part of it. So it's not only doing the work, but it's also satisfying the customer. It's also the professionalism. And as we all both know, some people are good at things and others are not. So, but you as a leader or me has to be able to assess where everybody is, what's going on, who's going to do what. That's been the toughest part for me. But I'm just not getting to a point where I think I've found what I'm looking for. I see where I can go with this, and then you get better as you go. So it's an up and down situation, particularly on the customer side, because that's a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Mhm.
It's not just doing it; you have to satisfy the customer, you have to explain to the customer. So that part of it's more like going into a customer fast food restaurant, and the person with the worst attitude is in the front. Somebody didn't scale that properly.
Got you. Brother Lee, what do you think? You
You're
still on
on
mute,
mute,
Brother Lee.
brother Lee.
Okay,
I'm
there you
sorry. Okay. First of all, thank you, Brother McDaniel, for recognizing my company. I'm glad we did a service for you. It is about customer service. Brother Ward, you're exactly right. You're always trying to put these pieces. You got a conglomerate of personnel, and you have to put those pieces into place. So, like you said, somebody's not supposed to be up front. He might flip a burger like nobody else, but you don't want him on that register. He can't count or whatever. He's not good, whatever. But we all got our certain talent. So that's one of the main things. Our brother's talking about, count your dollars. You know what I mean? You don't want to get behind. Penny has a brother. His name is Nickel. And Nickel has got a big sister named Don. You know what I mean? And they got a mother named Quarter. You see what I'm saying? And they all belong to that money family. You see what I'm saying? But they all look at how you treat little Penny. That was something I got out of in Jan Van Zant's book. Somebody that gave it to me when I was in the Army. They all belong to that money family. So if you want to take care of your family, you want to take care of little Penny. You see what I'm saying? If you want the money family to come to your house. You see what I'm saying? Because we all recognize that baby, right?
Sure.
So with that being said, man, I mean, business is tough. I've been through the ups and downs. You're not always going to be up. You're not always going to be up. I rose when things got tight, and then when things get good, you start losing employees, and people want to start their own thing and this, that, and other. But it's okay. I've spawned many, many businesses, many other road services, many trucking companies. Guys that started their own thing with trucking. So, I mean, it's just a tough thing, man. We just got to take care of each other, and teach the people that want to learn. This new generation, y'all better get ready, because we're gonna have to turn them wrenches. We're gonna have to drive that truck. Drive it. Learn the business. Okay?
So
You gotta learn the business.
So yeah, but Lee, I agree, man, that that like Randall said earlier about just, having your eye on that dollar, where there's a whole bunch of other currency that comes before you get to a dollar, right? So you got to stay focused on the details. That's where the devil is. But Randall, I wanted you to talk a little bit about, man, because our kids, me being a teacher, as Brother Ward alluded to, a lot of them are afraid to kind of take their shot, shoot their shot, as the kids would say, or take that leap, as Steve Harvey has recently commented. So, what would you say, Randall, was the thing that clarified for you that it was time to take that leap? And give me a little detail when you say, what's the first thing you did when you decided to make that move to be a truck driver or go to trucking school?
The first thing I did was not be afraid.
Mhm.
No fear.
Okay.
You know, when you start to fear, you're gonna start second guessing yourself. Okay, I've I'm from Alabama. I was born raised on a dirt road. You know, I've learned how to hunt, fish, can my food, grow my food. If all else fails, I can rely back on what I was raised. So I don't have a fear. I'm not afraid that I'm not going to eat tonight. I know I'm gonna eat tonight because I'm gonna have I, I'm prepared with my skill set to feed myself. Okay. I no doubt in who I am and what I want to achieve. Okay, that's the first thing that you have to have. Okay, then do your research. Research it. You know, you have Google. I didn't have Google growing up. We had to get the encyclopedias, go to the library, microfiche. If you ever try to do a search in the
Microfiche.
library, you ever tried to do that, man? You have research skills. So research the business. Make sure it's for you. Understand the time that you're gonna have to put into your business. Okay, understand that you're not gonna be home. I wasn't home my first 2.5 years. I was home maybe a month the entire 2.5 years total. But I knew that going into the business. I told them to ship me out. I want to go to Washington State. I want to be in Oregon. Let me see the mountains before the snow get on. Because I know they was gonna put me over there because I'm from
Right.
Georgia. They're gonna make you go to the furthest point away from your house and work, so you don't want to go home. But hey, no fear. Let me get it. Want the opposition. Want for the hardship. Look for the hardship. If it's gonna be hardship, I want to take it. Let me get the hardship because once I get through that hardship, I've experienced it. I've grown. Now I'm on my way. Don't be afraid. There's been times my bank account was zero. Sometimes it was a negative. But hey, the following week I got it out the hole. I brought it back up. You're gonna have your ebbs and flows, but don't give up. Like I said, that's that fear. Don't have it.
I love that, brother Randall, man. Just that can die attitude, bro. That's what the Black Man Lab is all about, Marty. You know that,
Yes,
instilling
sir.
in our youth, that intrinsic power of self-determination, bro. So thank you, brother Randall, for driving that point home.
Yeah, and that's yeah, as Brother Fred said, man, that is what we are all about, man, is that our young folks need to know that that's in you. That's in you. That drive and that ability is in you. Because from an ancestral standpoint, that's what we've been. We've always had to do what you were just talking about, Brother Randall. We've always had to make do. So have that as your internal consciousness that tells you I can do anything, right? And having an understanding of what that is in terms of the vocation that you want to do. Once you know that, man, lock and load. You lock that in, and you can do anything you want to. Something else that we talk about here on Black Man Lab all the time is what are the things that you do on a daily basis help you to stay focused on your job, right? And when I say your job, I'm not just talking about the work that you do day in and day in and day out. I'm also talking about your job as a Black man, right? Whether that's with your family, your community, whatever. What is it that you guys do on a daily basis that helps you to stay focused? Those habits, rituals, and disciplines. We all do every day. We all have them. Sometimes we do them unconsciously. What are those habits, rituals, and disciplines that you guys do on a daily basis to help you stay focused on who you are as a Black man and what your level of importance is to the world? I'll start with you, Brother Lee.
Okay.
Your habits, rituals, and disciplines.
It's difficult for me to have habits and rituals due to my nature of my business. But read a little scripture, get in the sauna. But I'll tell you the main thing: call your mama.
Love
Call your
it.
mama. Tell her you love her. keep me grounded, calm down, woosah, you know, because it's real high stress. Just like how my phone got cut off. I got to hit it. This is broke down. This is out of fuel. This, that, and other. And remember, I told you this, that I was going to possibly have that issue today. And I guess we got an issue going on with Metro phone service today. But, man, my main thing, call my mom up. It might not be daily, but it's at least 3-4 times a week.
I
So
love it,
that's
brother
what
Lee.
keeps me grounded. That's, you know, our mothers are our nurturers, and that's what keeps me, you know, sane. You know, because sometimes, because I used to have a term, and they used to say going postal. I said, no, I'm gonna go AM PM on somebody in a minute, okay? Because business is difficult, okay? I'm gonna go AM PM on you in a minute. That's when the employer goes crazy on his employees, okay? Like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna choke somebody out. But you have to slow down and realize when you start getting it into business. But see, you get out there and you start thinking, all I gotta do is go out there, fix the truck, or make the truck go, and this, that, hire good people, this, that. Oh, it's not that easy. What you gotta do is you gotta massage everything to make it work the way you want it to. Like Brother Ward said, he's gotta put those people into place. So my mother helps me do that because she can kind of see through, because not everybody's like me. Like, go get it. Not everybody's like Mr. McDaniel, where they're gonna be like, hey man, I want the hardest thing, man, give it to me. Not everybody like that. So we gotta do what we gotta do, you know, to make things work the way we want to. And sometimes just like Play-Doh. But my mama is probably, you know, what I do as a ritual. Weekly at least. You know what I mean?
Sure. And I think that what you're saying there, Brother Lee, is number one, of course, your mom is your safe space, right? Because you can be who you are, and she knows you intrinsically inside out. So that's your safe space. But the other piece of what you're talking about is looking at things and being a leader, right? Because even though, you know, we have a tendency to look at leaders as that person that's out in front of the camera, or that has written a book, or whatever the case is, we have a tendency to look at that person, a politician, as a leader. But the reality of it is that, you know, all of you guys here are running organizations, right? You're running an organization and you're leading an organization. And that has so many tentacles of importance to it because, number one, those people count on you that are working for you. But from a community standpoint, you know, you're running just like Brother McDaniel talked about utilizing your services, Brother Lee, and that's community, right? If we're doing it the right way, we're leading the right way, like you're doing with your company. You have people like Brother McDaniel say, hey, I use him all the time, and not only that, I'll have other people do it as well. I'd recommend them as well.
Right.
That means the world for our community, right? And that's what
Exactly.
leadership is about. So while you are touching on Mama being there for you, because our mamas are all special to all of us. Matter of fact, I give you a quick piece right here. My mother's birthday was Saturday, and just as she just moved down, her and my dad just moved down to Florida this past week, and her birthday was Saturday, and I knew she was just feeling, because now she's in a new space. And I said, you know what? I just jumped on a plane, went down, protected myself COVID style, and went and surprised her because I knew that's how important it was for her, you know, and how important he is to me. So I get the mama piece. That's a great place for us to stay grounded at. Brother Ward, how about
Yes,
you?
sir.
When we talk
Well, it's two
about
things
your
mainly.
habits, rituals, and
Well, but one of my habits is that I'm constantly learning about things. I'm a history buff. I'm a political buff. Watch a lot of business shows daily, nightly, a lot of documentaries because I always want to know something because I realize I don't really know anything. We know how that goes in terms of not knowing to increase more knowledge. And then my second ritual is to always share information with other like-minded individuals who essentially, hopefully, they know more than I do. Because the only way I'm going to be able to teach is that because I have to know. So it's like a transferable of knowledge, of information. Well, let me take the knowledge out and use information. 'Cause I think information sometimes is more important than knowledge, because you can have 500 degrees, but if you don't know what to do in that situation, essentially you don't have the right information. So information, constant information, and constant conversation on conversing with people that know more than me, seeking wise counsel.
Great. Awesome. What about you, Brother McDaniel?
Well, gentlemen, for those that know me, they know I don't sleep. I'm an early riser. I get up with the sun. I go to sleep before the sun come up, but I'm up with the sun come up. That's my I as they say, I like to be finished with my day of business before 9 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, I'm ready for lunch. I'm ready to do something else. I'm moving on to the next thing. When people are going to work, I've completed my work day as far as getting all my business taken care of. Another thing that I do is plan. I plan for success. I know when I'm going to do a trip. I know where I'm going to stop to get my fuel, how much fuel I'm going to get, where I'm going to get something to eat. I know everything on my trip is planned out. Everything for my week is planned. Once I schedule a load or schedule driving with a load, it's a plan set up with that. So if my plan goes straight, I have a plan B. I have options. So and that's what I tell people. If you have something that you're trying to achieve or trying to do, write it down. Okay, what is going to be your next step? As Brother Parham says, what is next?
Mm.
And answer
That's
that
it.
question.
That's
That's
it. And sometimes, to Brother McDaniel's point, you may not know the answer to the question in and by yourself, but it may require you to have wise counsel with other people around you who you trust. And so, brothers, I just want to again, man, thank you all for bringing the heavy hitting information tonight. I think, as a young person and as a dad with a son who's 13, I feel confident just listening to you on some of the key character traits that you all are mentioning, kind of embedded in what y'all are talking about. And so I want to make sure that the young people don't miss these qualities, man, that y'all really talking about. And I want y'all to kind of just give, truth to power on the character side and the quality side that a young man or a young woman needs to develop when they think about starting a business. Like, what kind of character do you have to bring to it? So I'll start with you, Brother McDaniel. Can you lean in on us with that one and let us know about the character that a person needs to bring from A to Z when they're talking about doing business with a company or someone?
Man, like I said, I'm a country boy, and I fall back on this daily. Integrity. Man, if I give my word, if I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do everything in my power to get it done. I'm not gonna, as I hate to refer to the movie, the Scarface movie, but he had one line in there that said, "All I have in my life is my balls and my word, and I'm not trying to break either one of them." So that's what I
I,
live.
lo- I love it. Integrity. What about you, Brother Lee?
Oh, I'm gonna hit you direct. All right. So if I'm talking to the young crowd, this, that, and other, pull your pants up, wrap a belt around there, tie your boot, put some boots on, but this is me. Or just have that mentality to go get it, You see what I'm saying? Go get that degree, go do whatever you're gonna do. If you want to be an astronaut, hey, pull your pants up, tie your belt up, and kick rocks. Let's get going. Because
Love it, Brother Lee. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah. I mean, because I just you can't be lazy about it. I know what Brother McDaniel's with. I deal with drivers, this, that, and other. We're the same industry, you see. And it's not going to get handed to you. So I just, you got to get out there and punch through it. And you know what? Who do you want to do business with? You know what I mean? You could have, I'd have no problem. Dreadlocks, but turn it on and turn it off. You see what I'm saying? When you're doing business to business or you're doing business with your customers, depending on the business that you're in. I mean, if you're selling Jamaican jerk chicken, I don't want to buy it from nobody that don't have no dreadlocks. Okay? I want to buy it from somebody who do have the dreadlocks. Be a part of the business. Oh, but so if you in this
Brother,
kind of business,
I'm bald headed and I make some great jerk chicken.
but, you know, but if you like this, I ain't gonna do it. But you know, if you like this or that, I'm like, okay, is this a real Jamaican restaurant? You know, just like if I'm in an Asian restaurant, I want some Asian. But that's, you know, a different kind of subject. But it's about getting it. And when you're in business, and I go walk in and I want to get a contract with you, have your stuff tight. You know what I mean? Get where you want to get to. You see what I'm saying? You can do whatever you want to do. You got to be able to turn it on and turn it off. You got to be able to be like, hey, you know what? On the weekend, ride out. But during the week, you got to be in business for.
I love it. I love it, Brother Lee. In a word, professionalism. I love it. Come on, Brother Ward. Give us that character trait.
Brother Ward, Brother Parham, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. It all encompasses professionalism, which is broken down into segments up under one umbrella. So my theory and my concept would always strive to be is to speak with other guys, do everything that they think you're not going to do. And unfortunately, we're all black men that we have some very, very serious negative stereotypes already against us before we even get started. You're not going to be on time. He's trying to rob me. He's trying to rape my daughter. So just to even get to the front door is a task. So the character has to be beyond reproach because they're banking that you're going to do exactly what they think you're going to do. But if you exceed expectations, you get them every time. You have them looking out of your hand because you've exceeded everything they thought you were going to do wrong. Oh, he was on time. He looks professional. It's silly, but it's real. And it affects our encounters on a daily basis in the business world. So we have to teach beyond the work part of it. We have to teach the professionalism, the attitude, the smile, your decorum, the way you dress, the way you look. It matters. I didn't make the rules up, but it just matters. So if it matters and we know that's the game, let's play the game to win. When you get back home, do what you want to do. When we're out here in the battlefield, let's play the game and win it. Let's beat them at their own game.
Hey, man.
Agree with that,
Marty. Drop the mic, Marty. I'm done. These brothers bringing it. Well, go ahead, Brother Marty.
Yeah. I was going to say, I completely agree with what Brother Ward is saying and what everybody's saying. I think that, you know, that professionalism piece is that because the expectations are where they are for us as Black. Now, I want to be 100% clear about one thing that we have to make our young folks understand. Professionalism means all those things that you just talked about, Brother Ward. What it does not mean is trying to assimilate to be somebody else, right? Correct. You are good enough, right? You are good enough as a Black man. You are more than good enough, okay? As a Black man, you are more than good enough. You know, that doesn't mean you have to, and Fred has heard me say this line before, you don't have to get nasal. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Start talking through your nose like other folks. You don't have to do that, right?
We're
you
better
can maintain
anyway.
who you are. Yep, absolutely. You can maintain who you are and get your greatness that way for sure. I'm gonna go back to you, Brother Fred. Can you go into a little bit what we didn't talk about at the beginning of this? We have a lot of resources, Black Man Lab, and Fred, while he's a great co-facilitator with me here today, he's really good with doing our resources for Black Man Lab. So I want to turn it back over to you, Fred, on the resources of what we have as Black Man Lab and what we can do as it relates to the trade industry.
Yeah, thank you for queuing me up, Brother Marty. So to the listeners and those who are viewing the call tonight, we want to make sure that we honor the headline, of the show, which is opportunities in the skill trades. So at the Black Man Lab Resource Center, there are four primary areas that we work on to make sure that we are of service to our people. First, and chief among them, is educational opportunities, to include knowledge and information about where one can go to start the process of having a skilled trade and being your own boss. And so please drop us an email at resources@blackmanlab.org. Again, that's resources@blackmanlab.org to have any of the questions that you might have come up with while you were listening or watching tonight answered. But in addition to educational information and knowledge, we also have information about housing for those brothers and sisters who need some support or just a lead on trying to get some housing support. And then mental health and counseling. Certainly, we want to make sure we are of service to our people in that area. And then re-entry for those who are looking for employment, or if you're just looking for employment and you're a young person looking for your first opportunity this summer. So any of those type questions in those four areas, please email us at resources at blackmanlab.org. Again, that's resources at blackmanlab.org, and we'll get back with you in 24 hours with a response. Thank you so much, Marty.
Thank you, Brother Fred. Also, I want to make an announcement. We have a partner that we are working with that has said that they wanted to help us with our resources in terms of monetarily, which is Yvonne's Heavenly Bites. Yvonne is a young lady who I know who does great baking goods. She can bake out this world. She's part of an organization that is Bakers Protesting. It's called Bakers for Protest. And what they're doing is they attach themselves to an organization. Everything that they bake over a period of time, they are going to donate that money to that organization. So she is
we
going
love
to be
Bakers
doing
for Protest.
Yes, we do. And so she is going to take us on as Black Man Lab. And that we'll get that up on the website so that everybody that's listening here in the Atlanta area, she's not shipping the Atlanta area. She's going to be doing some cupcakes in a jar, which are really cool. I'll have the picture of them up as well, which is they'll be red, black, and green cupcakes as well with the in a jar, the Black Man Lab logo on it as well. So we'll have that on the website. And if you could please, support her and at the same time support Black Man Lab, that would be beautiful. Also, if you would like to donate to Black Man Lab, again, go to the website that Fred mentioned earlier, and you can feel free to donate to Black Man Lab. We utilize those funds to help us to be able to impact our young Black men. Just wanted to make sure that we touched on that. Last thing, fellas, I want to, first of all, thank you, gentlemen, for being part of what we do on a weekly basis. And then also, as soon as this COVID thing is open and over with, we will be back to doing our live Black Man Lab in person at the Young YMCA is where we do it at, where we get together. We have all of our young men come in and we have our panel discussion live and in person. And it's a great, while we love being able to do this streaming, being in person and being able to get, put our hands on each other and support each other, there's nothing like it. So I'm going to ask each of you guys that when we're able to be back in person, that you all will be there and help to support Black Man Lab and give everything that you got in those amazing brains of yours to our young folks that may have interest in getting into the trade. On that note, one of the things that we like to ask as well is, would any of you guys be willing to look at providing apprenticeships if possible, or any kind of assistance with our young folks that are in Black Man Lab?
Yes.
Okay, great. We will definitely reach out to you we'll definitely reach out to you when we have young folks that are looking to get into,
I
various
get it.
trades that you guys do.
Yeah, I can.
Um,
Well, I'll say
Brother,
this: the way I have my set up, I'm not to a point where I can hire full time because it's per job. But when I get to that point, I'm going to definitely look at in terms of hiring on, or it could be a situation where if I have, let's say for example, if I have a job, I know it's going to be 3 days from now. I can use someone to assist, basically ride with me that day, walk with them, talk with them, have them look at it, see it, get a hands-on approach, maybe even do some work for me that day. But I'll be with them that entire session of the job, so you can get a real experience that day. Bring them back, or have you guys got it set up if they're minor, if they're adult, whatever you guys handle that part. But I could use a guy, and we can do it that way until I get to a point where I can hire full time. So I'm in the growth process of trying to get to a point where I can say, hey, I got a solid guy every day. I can pay him W-2, what have you. So just want to share that with you guys. So
that's awesome, Brother Ward. And I'm sure Brother Parham would be able to help facilitate that with us internally. Right, Brother Fred?
Yes, sir. Any listener or viewer of this segment or any segment has to do is just hit us up, mention that they heard about, one of the brothers in a skilled trade or a particular area, and I'll make the connection. And thank you, brothers, for making yourselves available to be mentors and leaders.
thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, I will be getting
All
with
right.
Mr. Parham on an internship. Probably within 2 weeks. I'm going to be looking for somebody I'm going to train. I'm going to make him a beast. He's going to be a monster.
Thank you, Brother Lee. I'm going to put my number in here right now.
Okay.
That's
Thank you
awesome.
so much.
Appreciate you, Brother Lee. Fellas,
Mr. Parham.
we have reached our the end of our session here. We always close out the same way. When we're in the live session, what we do is all the brothers in the room link arms, and we do what we call I'm a link in this chain. So, Brother Fred, can you take us through that?
Absolutely. So, brothers, as Marty mentioned, we just kind of, since we're virtual, just kind of put our fists together and simulate how we would be locked arms if we were in the same room. And this ritual was given to us by Sister Njeri Ghani, who was the head of a reparations organization in the Atlanta area. She has since transitioned to become an ancestor, and we honor her memory and continue her legacy and fight by saying this ritual as we close. Please repeat after me. I'm a link in this chain.
I'm a link in this chain.
I'm a link in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't break
here.
I am a link in this chain.
I'm a link in this
chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't
break here.
We are links in this chain.
We
are
links in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't break here.
Ashe. Thank you, brothers. Ashe.
Ashe. Be to the fuego.
Right,
Juneteenth.
Yes, sir.
Yes. That's right. Juneteenth. Rounders mentioned the Juneteenth block party. Rally will be this Friday. Look for more information on our website. We're social distancing, but we're celebrating Jubilee, Juneteenth 2020.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Brothers, thank you again. I so appreciate you all. Sending you nothing but love and safeness, man. So you guys, thank you again, and we will reach out to you anytime we have anybody that's interested. And likewise, we'll just reach out to you so we can have some more brothers that are solid involved with Black Man Labs. So thank you again. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, brothers. Great job.
Brother Fred.
Thank y'all, the listeners.
Be to the fuego. Let's go.
Get it.
I love it.
Pick rocks.